You're probably more bored than I am with the ECU mounting. No, actually that's not possible. But I actually ended up using the original, or two of the original MV Agusta special rubberized mounts at the front end, and then those pads actually on the feet at the back end. It's nice and secure. I'm going to put a little bit of, I might actually just top it with some rubber just to protect the top. And then those relays are going to sit there. Those are going to go somewhere like that. Everything roots round, it's earthed nicely. And yeah, it just leaves the seat light down there to connect up when I put it on. So we are pretty much complete with that rear end. Finally, final stage of this rear section is to get that gauze mesh in there somehow. I can put a bolt through there, no doubt, an Allen bolt, which will look quite neat and tidy. It's the back end, there's nothing to kind of secure it, so there's a big gap at the moment. Not sure how I'm going to do that yet, but yeah, it kind of covers it enough, maybe. And on a similar vein up front, I'm looking at using one of those P-clips to mount that bigger mesh screen that I cut for that. So that's going to be fun and games to get to, but I'm going to give it a go. Well, that was fun. Managed to get the one P-clip in at the top. And of course, sitting there, that looks quite nice. But it does need to come in a bit because the wires are pushing it out, and yeah, it flaps around a lot. So I need to secure it somewhere else, and I'm not going to get in there with anything. Honestly, so much in the way. So I don't know what to do at this point. All meshed up and no place to go. Honestly, I'm not sure I like those front ones after all. I think it's a bit much. Maybe just a plain blanking plate would be better. I'm going to wait until I put the whole thing together before I make a decision. And at the moment, I've just got this temporary tie wrap because I haven't come up with a solution to mount that. But increasingly, it's obvious that unless you look at things in their entirety, you get a distorted view. So for me right now, I'd never looked at the two mesh panels together. I think it's a bit much, but maybe once I get the tank and the airbox and the seat and everything else in place, maybe it won't be. Much as I dislike these kind of threaded rivets, I have ordered some because they can come in handy. And for the seat, I've decided not to do the coach bolts through the top of the seat because we've got a new cover coming. So I've put those in there, ready to fit the seat. Hose clip type number 5.7, I don't know. Anyway, let's see if that fucker leaks. Nice little touch, I think, maybe. If you're ever in need of a bit of rubber padding, I thoroughly recommend effing vodka. Yeah, I used it actually on the Bel Air for the electrics, the fuse box for the ECU and stuff, because it's not the standard motor. and apparently it tastes good. I'm not a vodka fan, but my dear wife is. So yeah, the label, you just cut it down the back. Got yourself some lovely rubber padding. Actually test fitting the airbox and fuel tank, and thanks to the removable speedometer, or adjustable, I've got plenty of room to mess around down here, putting in my this thing. Back to the big picture situation again, because I turned round the overflow from the expansion tank. That's now in the way of that little doofer, so I have to modify that piece just a little bit. Has anyone else spotted the obvious big picture issue again? Perhaps if I take this off, that'll help. Yeah, nicely in place. Looks lovely. Looks lovely. Anyone remember what was behind it? Yes, indeedy. The new air intake. Might end up with it struggling for breath. More issues, not thinking stuff through. Well, although, I didn't actually have an idea how I was going to fit these grills at the back. And the reality is I can't, because they slide down nicely and just hold themselves in place. And I thought, well, I don't need to bolt them in. But of course, the sequence of events is fitting the fuel tank, which has a bar across there. And on that bar, the seat will now mount. So that'll have to be done next, and that will have to be done before the bum flap is in place. So this will have to be dropped down to put the seat in, and therefore the seat will cover the top area, so I won't be able to slide them in down the side. But I have a cunning plan. Actually, it's pretty cool, even if I do say so myself. Very CafeRacer. What do you think? Just resting in place at the moment. Needs to come down a little bit at the back. I think that's those fuel lines in here. Can't see, can you? Nothing bolted down, but all in place. A few sparks involved, which was a little bit worrying. But we're all good. Everything in place, including buckets, of course. Yeah, more stickers to come. Don't want to go over the top though. Kind of like the clean white. I think it's starting to look good. Should we turn it on, see if it sets fire? No, you'll be glad to know it didn't catch fire. So that's a result. I do have a fire extinguisher if necessary. Yeah, looking kind of cool. The brake light. Forgot to put the side panels on. There you are, much better. Lovely. Cool. Oops, and the carbon bits. Quite like them actually, because they kind of just disappear. It's the only carbon on the bike now, but kind of like it. See? Quite a nice view from up here too. This is pretty much the, what's the riding position? Something like that. So you can just about see the speedo if you need to. Yeah. How about that? Neat party trick. Not so neat party trick. Still leaking fuel. Pretty sure it's not that connection, but it does seem to be where it's coming from. Might be that it's too short and it's not sitting in the tank 100% square on. Might try this stuff from the race car. Just for a giggle, I checked out the decibel reading on the shortened exhaust pipe, and yeah, we're topping out at just under 130 decibels, which is kind of loud. I think somebody once told me that's about the noise level of a shotgun. So that's interesting. I'm going to check the Triumph out and see how that compares, because that's fairly loud. Back to the fuel leak and some helpful stuff on the mvagusta.net forum with lots of illustrations, and one thing which I noticed, which isn't me, is that there should be some kind of breather pipe coming off the pump up to the fuel cap itself, which there wasn't when I took the fuel cap off, the old one. So I guess I'm going to have to fish around inside the tank and find that pipe and bring it up to the top, because if it's breathing out the bottom of the tank somewhere, but then it should be kind of just pissing out fuel all the time rather than just when it's under pumpage. That looks like them there. Looking at the old aftermarket fuel cap, and it doesn't have anywhere for those breathers to go, so that's why they're just dangling around at the top of the tank, which is disappointing. So given that the fuel cap aspect, breather aspect, has not been any different since I had the bike, I guess, looking again at replacing that fuel line, and interestingly enough, this Gates 4219XL fuel line is good for 3.4 BSI. However, apparently not for fuel injection systems, which is not what it says on their website about that specific product. And indeed, the Gates submersible fuel line hose apparently should not be submersed in gasoline. So trying to get in there is quite fun. To get the nuts started. Funnily enough, on Facebook there was an ad, as happens. I think they can read your mind now, because I don't think I was talking about it with anyone. But it was about a magnetic finger. And I did think about buying one. I thought, is it going to be any good? Another one of these gadgets. Anyway, turns out I already had one. And actually, they're bloody good. It's a little magnet. And yeah, it just lets you hold it in place. Works. So the bum flap is down and the cover up is in place, and it's only a little paper printout at the moment, but you can see that kind of does the job nicely, and I think it'll look quite cool. Just waiting for my prime delivery to turn up of a battery terminal cover, and I can fit that. And while we're waiting for that to turn up, I think I'm going to tackle the fuel line. I'm going to put a new one in there, regardless of website instructions or contradictions, etc. And see what happens. Give it a bit of extra length, because I know I've shaved off at least an inch, and I don't know what they did at the shop when they fit the new pump. So potentially that's a lot shorter than it should be. Certainly shorter than the other one. So as I've got to put the terminal cap on this anyway, I thought it best to disconnect the positive right now because I'm doing fuel and there could be, well, there were some sparks while I was taking it off, and you know how much I love these connectors. Yeah, so I look forward to putting that back on later. There will be lots of swearing. And as quickly as it came, winter seems to have completely disappeared because it was 73 degrees today in not even the middle of January. One of those crazy days in the office where you go in the morning and the heat's on, and by the middle of the afternoon the AC's kicked in. Welcome to Arizona. Interestingly, the camera is now focusing. The new pipe, which is imperial measurement as opposed to US, slipped on easier, even though it looks slightly smaller inside diameter. So let's hope that's not a problem. And the outside diameter is slightly bigger. So need a little gentle persuasion, and I am just gently tapping this while holding it in the vise to get it over those teeth, those ones that bulged the tube. Kind of like where that's sitting because the toothy bit ends about there, so it's nice and in the middle. It's really tight already, so I'm just going to clamp it down. There's the other end in place, ready to slip onto that, which already tested is quite a lot easier. See for yourself. If I can just get it in the hole. There you go. Easy peasy. R for rear. F for front. Nicely clamped in position using the special tool, which looks like something out of a blacksmith's array of armaments. Yes, I'm still ranting about fitting battery terminals. So apparently what you need is corrugated cardboard. And we've got one piece at the top there, one piece in the side here to hold it away from the back. And it's still not playing ball. This is just ridiculous. So another 20 minutes of my life and $5 later, I mean, it looks like a nice part, honestly. It just doesn't bloody work in any application because there's always more than one terminal going to it, more than one cable. So I'm going to build my own. Had enough of this. It's not difficult, it just has to be a free-sided rubber thing. So that put pay to trying to restart the bike and test the fuel leak tonight. Time for an early bath. Actually, it's a late bath. I'm not about to patent this solution, but all it took was 2 bits of draft excluder, very adhesive foam padding, beautifully insulated. All it needs is a free-sided rubber device with some self-adhesive stuff that you can peel off. Turns out the Triumph is a measly 110 to 20 decibels loud but not hazardous, as per the MV. And on that note, I think we can end this episode. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe and encourage other people to come and watch my lunacy.